Who's that?
I can't even really see.
You couldn't see who that was?
No, because I wasn't looking at the TV. I was looking at the camera.
Yeah, but you can see the... Look.
Yeah, look, playing Spider-Man.
It's Catman. Mando. That's not... Dr. Doom. Green Goblin. I don't know why, but Dr. Doom was like a main villain in many of the cartoons. You're not really thought of him as a Spider-Man villain, more like Fantastic Four, but... Anyway. Hi, welcome to Just That Film. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Lily.
And in this episode, we are going to review Spider-Man. Bubble, bubble, oil and trouble. Not really. We're going to review Spider-Man Brand New Day. Directed by Destin Cretton. And starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, who will come back then from the previous ones.
You talk about Ned, the character
Yes.
Ned. Okay.
You've also got in this one Mark Ruffalo, John Bernthal, Sadie Sink, and Florence. Is that how you saying that?
Pew.
See, girls can't do gun noises. You fell for it.
Well, anyway.
And also,
podcast's gonna have spoilers.
yes, we're going to have spoilers. But let's do like brief news. Comic-Con was recently, and they announced Ryan Gosling is going to be Ghost Rider.
Which is pretty good.
That's good. He's been a
Popular fan cast.
Yeah, pretty much since A Place Beyond the Pines, where he plays a stunt motorcyclist. He's with, I think, you know what, funny enough, I think that might be where he met Eva Mendes, who was in the old Ghost Rider. You also had David Johnson was announced as the new Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which is good. He's a good actor. He's in
The Long Walk.
The Long Walk. And what else was he in? He was in something. Oh, he's Alien Romulus as well.
Yeah.
Great actor, British actor. There's been like a little bit of backlash from some American actors saying it should be an American black actor, not a British black actor.
But if anything, it should just be an African, actor, you know? Because...
Yeah, but I would say, okay, yeah, ideally. But if you start going down that route, you're going to not be able to hire anyone for anything. But what I would say is British black people tend to have a stronger lineage with their African descent than, say, American black people.
I think that's a bit of a controversial take, so maybe don't talk about that.
No, it's not controversial. I'm just saying, it's not controversial.
No, but sometimes it can be a bit controversial because a lot of... it just is. Okay, it's a little bit controversial at times. Okay.
What I'm saying is, you find many British black people, their parents or their grandparents are proud of their descent, and you go round, and this is through personal experience, going around friends' houses, and they will tell you where they're from. Like, I think his parents or his grandparents are from Sierra Leone, and he can tell you loads of things about his country of where his family descend from. They know a lot more about their culture, could probably speak half a dozen words as well, whereas the African Americans probably came over during the slave trade. Black British people came over after World War II to help rebuild the country, because Britain put a call out to the Commonwealth, come help us rebuild. So you had loads of Indian people, Indian families, and they came over and they thrived, and they're very proud of their heritage. So if anything, I think he's more qualified to be Black Panther than an American actor.
This isn't a debate we need to be having on a Spider-Man podcast.
Okay, and also you done Spodacy, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
This year's Barbenheimer, Spodacy, which also, where you watch Spider-Man and then you went and watched Odyssey, which also stars John Bernthal. Punisher's in it.
Is he?
Yes, he's got a shaved head and beard.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't recognise him.
You're easy for, weren't you? You always look at the Marvel films and says, how do they not spot him? He's wearing a baseball cap. The police are like you. But he doesn't wear a hat before. And also Tom Holland and Zendaya. So, one word review of Odyssey.
Self-indulgent.
Really?
It was 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But I just the whole time there were scenes which went on for 20 minutes. And it then because it's it's meant to be and then this happened, and then suddenly it would cut, and it would actually be like a 20-minute cutscene, and then it would just go back to what they were talking about before. And I was like, can you just stick with can you just shorten it down? I think that film could have lost about an hour, half hour, and it still would have been coherent. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. I thought it was a good film, but I just think that Nolan had too much.
It didn't sound like you thought it was a good film.
No, I just it's a good film, but the entire time I felt like, oh, this is just being longed out. And I know maybe that's kind of representative of the storyline of the Odyssey, but it just felt really, really long, I mean, he is lost for 20 years or something, 7 years.
And it felt like it.
Yeah, pretty much, which I get might be Nolan's point, but at the same time, I just was sat in that chair thinking, God, just get on with it.
But bearing in mind, you had just seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, so you'd already spent...
yeah, but I'd had a bit of a gap between the
2 hours in the cinema.
Anyway, I don't want to... That's not really what we're here to talk about.
No, we're talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Good.
I thought it was good.
How do you feel it compares with the other Tom Holland Spider-Man films?
I think that the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film...
Homecoming.
Yeah, is still my top one.
Really? Because that's my bottom one.
I'd put that on top, and then I think it'd be the order of each film would be first, second, third, fourth. So the first film is in first place, and then second, and then third, and then fourth.
Really?
I'm not saying... I think they're all on par with each other.
So this is the worst one?
For me, technically, yeah, but I'd put them all on par with each other. It's not like it's a big difference between each one. I'd
go the opposite.
Maybe I would put this one in third or second if you're being really thingy about it, but I'm not saying oh, this one's worse than all the other ones. I'm just saying I think I'd put them all on par with each other.
Yeah, I'd say they're pretty even. I think the quality of these Tom Holland Spider-Man films have been fairly consistent. But I'm glad we didn't do this straight away, because we actually watched the film 2 days ago, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted a bit of time to digest the film anyway, and you wanted to go clubbing. You know what? The more I think about this film, the higher up it goes in my ranking, and I'd actually go the opposite way. I'd think the films have steadily increased. I know Far From Home is often people's least favourite one.
Really?
Yeah, but I enjoyed Far From Home. I thought it was good. I like Homecoming. It was a good start, and then Far From Home sort of builds on that. I really liked Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, because Mysterio is sort of almost like a joke character sometimes. He's an iconic Spider-Man character. He's very recognisable, but they got the costume right, and his storyline always involves deception, and I think they've done that great in that. And second, up until pretty much last night, I was putting this film, Brand New Day, as my second favourite of the Tom Holland ones, and No Way Home as my first favourite.
Mm-hmm.
But I've now swapped on that. I now put No Way Home, which of course loads of people say is fan service, but there's nothing wrong with that in my eyes. We bring all those villains in and the other Spider-Man.
I thought
that was such an experience for me in the cinema.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm saying that all of the way I've ranked it, it's not like I'm saying this one's better than the other. I actually really like all of them equally. I just think...
I'll tell you why this one, though, I've put as possibly my favourite Tom Holland one, is because this one feels more like a proper film. It feels that, sometimes with the superhero films, not so much in the Spider-Man, I mean, a bit in the Spider-Man ones, but loads of it's too much colour, too much sort of snappy dialogue, and look at this, every scene's got to be like a joke, like it's an episode of Friends or something, and you got to have, it goes a little bit slapstick, and it's so loud, it's almost sugary to my senses. Mm-hmm. The music, everything. Whereas with this one, I felt it was the most personal for Tom Holland. I liked that they stripped away so many characters, because you think of 3 previous films, the Home trilogy, you had all the classmates like Flash Thompson and the teachers, and you had the Betty Brant, and they're doing the news thing. They even brought in J. Jonah Jameson, who I think could have been in this one. I would have liked to have seen him starting his career at the Daily Bugle, but it's not the be all and end all. Overall, I liked that they stripped back the characters so much, so we could get more time with him, especially what he's going through with changing.
Yeah.
There's been some criticism that he didn't change into the Man Spider, but I think what they're doing is actually laying the groundwork so that the next film they could go into that. If the next film, if they never take it anywhere, then this film's will go down in my estimate. But if this is just building that up for the next film where he develops, because in the comics, it didn't happen instantly. It happens over time. Even in the series when they tackled it in the 90s, it happens over an entire season. You know, he starts noticing he's changing slightly, and then he's eventually grows some arms out of him and stuff. I also like the cinematography for this. I felt that the colour palette, as I said, was much more toned down. If you look at previous ones, like I rewatched all of them leading up to this anyway, and it is very colourful films, very sort of bright, and maybe it's by old age, but I quite liked that this one seemed a lot darker. All the fight scenes were happened in like smaller locations and seemed a lot dimmer, seemed more autumnal in a way. And you noticed last night I came in, I was listening to the soundtrack. I think this is the best music out of the four of them as well. Like when you listen to that music, especially like throughout the whole, it's the same composer, but when you listen to his music on this one, it seems a lot more sort of somber. Like the opening music is just like a piano concerto version of the Spider-Man theme from these films, but the closing one in particular, after it has a song playing for the first part of the credits, then throughout the other credits it's got like synthesizers and it almost sounds 80s.
Yeah.
But like an 80s score like you'd find in something like Hitcher or something like that.
I mean, I'm not really saying much because I feel like I'm just going to rain on your parade a little bit with this film.
Come on then.
I think I get why they've introduced Jean Grey, because they're setting up.
They're
setting up for, obviously, that's the big thing. Sadie Sing's playing Jean Grey. I like how they introduced it, but I don't think Jean Grey was. Sadie Sink may have necessarily been the best casting for Jean Grey. I think she's a brilliant actress. I think she played the part really well. But I can also imagine other people that were maybe lesser known getting the part, because also I couldn't help but feel like when she's like running towards her sister in that one scene, it literally looks the exact same as when she's running from Vecna in season 4 of Stranger Things.
She didn't change her run.
No, but her facial expressions and like the way she's running, I mean, I get that, they're going through similar emotions, but the way she just does it the exact same way, I kind of had a bit of a problem with.
Yeah, but she's not a chameleon actress. She's not like one of these, she's not like a Gary Oldman. It's like if you had Steve Buscemi in a film getting angry and then he's getting angry in another film, you might see quite similar traits. Because when you're acting, you're sort of thinking, how would I feel about this? I'd be really worried. You wouldn't think, but I was the same worried. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm
just saying. Do you think she's good casting for Jean Grey?
I actually do. I actually think she's okay. My only issue, and it's, it might seem a little superficial, but because she's quite short, isn't she?
I mean, she's a little bit taller than me.
So very short.
Oh, thanks.
Whereas Jean Grey in my head was always about 5'6", 5'7". Although, it's. I don't think that's the be all and end all, but I think if the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the new iteration of the X-Men, they're going to look for longevity, it's good to cast young people. You sort of almost gave it away that you said, do you think that Sadie Sink is going to be Jean Grey in this film? And I had no idea she was in the film because I've avoided all media about it. But thankfully, when I was watching the film, I had forgotten all about that. And I know a lot about Spider-Man. I've been a huge Spider-Man fan since I was a child. There's the opening part where it has like a montage of him fighting various villains. So you got him fighting Boomerang and Tarantula and Tombstone, and it recreates famous comic book covers, like where Tombstone's holding him. Tombstone's even standing on the girder like he does on this comic book cover. In fact, I wrote down what the covers were. And this is another one. It's not quite a cover, but at the end of the film, Punisher shoots Spider-Man. In Punisher's very first appearance, which is Amazing Spider-Man 129, it's a famous cover, which it's a shame my comic's ain't on. I've got the comic book. Anyway, it's got him looking down a rifle gun and Spider-Man in the target. So that's almost like a reference to that, but it's not quite the comic book recreation. the bit where he's fighting Boomerang, that's from Amazing Spider-Man 345. The bit where he's fighting Tarantula, that's from Amazing Spider-Man 134. The one where it's got scorpions trying to hit him and then he's in that sort of thing and he's going backwards, that's actually from Spider-Man Adventures 2, which was more like a comic based on the popularity of the 1994 TV series, but still. The bit where he's fighting Tombstone, as I mentioned, it was from Spectacular Spider-Man 142. And the bit where Ramrod's trying to get him, that's Amazing Spider-Man 221. Okay. Let's test you. Who do you think are my 4 favourite Marvel characters of all time?
Punisher.
Yes.
Hulk.
Yes.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
Jean.
No, sorry. The 4th one ain't in this.
Okay.
Just be,
I don't know then.
Wolverine. Okay. So 3 out of 4 are in this film. Well, so cool. I was very happy about that, and I like that they've sort of regained a bit of Hulk's credibility, because loads of people, which me included, feel they're really making him a bit softer in the MCU. He's getting beaten up by people he shouldn't be getting beaten up by, or like little things like getting side punched and that knocks him out and things like this. I like that he starts growing into traditional Hulk. He gets really big. They make a point of making him the biggest you've ever seen. Now, it's Hulk and Spider-Man, arguably, if you've done a Mount Rushmore of Marvel superheroes, they're 2 locks. They are definitely going to be on that Mount Rushmore. And to see them in the film together is a huge deal for Marvel. Yeah. Okay, they were both in Infinity War and Endgame, but they never really interacted.
And Civil War.
No, Hulk wasn't in Civil War. He was on the planet. He was in Thor Ragnarok. Okay. He was off planet at the time. But them fighting happens in the comics. They've interacted a lot in the comics. So it's actually quite a big deal for me to see them both sort of fighting like that. More so than, say, when there was Batman v Superman years ago. Because you look at the gulf between Batman and Superman, it's too big. At least with Spider-Man and Hulk, Spider-Man's tougher than Batman, and Hulk is slightly weaker than Superman. Not necessarily strength-wise, but he hasn't got the flying ability or laser eyes and stuff. So it makes it more interesting fight. And I like that Punisher, despite just being a human, was able to sort of hold his own a bit.
I don't like that nowadays you have to watch the Marvel series that come out to understand what's going on in the films. That's really peeing me off a bit. Because I do not understand how Punisher and Spider-Man knew each other, and they kept saying, oh, how he saved me over in, was it Staten Island?
Yes, but that never happened.
That didn't happen.
That's not happened so far in the series or films.
Right,
but they are both New York. In the comics, they've interacted a lot. As I said, Punisher's first experience, Jackal had hired him to kill Spider-Man. He was originally like an assassin, and then they changed his story to be more like this tragic war figure. So they have known each other a lot. But this is the first time that I like that they don't have to be introduced in this. They could have had this film like, who are you? And I'm the Punisher. And that would have slowed the story down. So I like that they hit the ground running as if, and them saying, you owe me, and things, that's talking about an event that we haven't seen off camera.
Okay. There's still an issue with Marvel products as a whole at the moment. They keep trying to make you watch the series in order to understand what's going on with certain products. And I mean, for example, I've seen loads of people say that, before you watch Doomsday, I'm talking actors from the film, saying you've got to make sure you've watched everything. And I'm thinking, that's over 300 hours worth of product that you've got to watch. And it includes all the series, the newest one, which is Wonder Man. And, it's just it's things okay, but you, so much you're asking out of people. Because not everyone likes TV series, If you're watching Marvel films used to just be Marvel films, and you'd be able to keep on top of it with that. But then I've seen in other products recently, it's just I don't know what's going on, because I haven't seen some small 12-episode series on Disney Plus, because quite frankly I often find the Marvel series quite boring. I think the only one that I found most interesting was Loki, and that's one of the most popular out of the new Marvel series, I think. But I still found that hard to watch, because you're not used to seeing these characters for that many hours at a time.
I get that totally, and I agree. the thing is with the actors recommending it, they're sort of have to. That's their bread and butter. What? Buy all the product, watch it all. But in reality, no, you don't have to watch all the things. I haven't watched Loki. I watched the first episode. I couldn't get involved with it. I don't watch the TV series. The only one I watched really was Moon Knight, and I loved Moon Knight.
Moon Knight was good.
All the way up until the last episode. The last episode, it sort of fell into like casual sort of Marvel lore of big battle, these two fighting each other and stuff. I liked how halfway through the series it just turned into something completely different about mental health, and I thought that was quite a brave move for them. I'd like to see Moon Knight in. I hope he's in Doomsday. Now I've seen the trailer for Doomsday, and yeah, I don't think it's earned. It's no way a fraction as excited as what people were for Infinity War or Endgame.
No.
Because the films leading up to that, even though loads of them were actually quite crap, if you look in retrospect, even at the time, people were like, "Is that it? That's not all that film." You know, the first Thor film I found boring. The first Captain America was boring. Iron Man 2 and 3 were a bit boring. There's loads of films which you just thought, oh. And like I've even thought, if we ever do it on the podcast, because me and Ben have an agreement, the day he starts making me watch Carry On films for the podcast, I'm going to start making him watch Marvel films. But I wouldn't be a prick about it. I'd go through and think, what's the bare minimum ones you can show? And I think you have to show Iron Man. You can watch a sort of summary of the first Captain America, but you can avoid it, you know. And basically going through it like that, you can pick and choose. And yeah, you might look at a thing and go, who's that woman in Mantis? I haven't seen, because I'd get him to skip Guardians too. I don't think it's essential for you to enjoy the films. It just sort of, the more of the stuff you watch, the more you'll get from it. Me personally, with Doomsday, I will watch it, but I'm just sort of, I'll just take it. Like I never watched, what is it, Wakanda Forever. I didn't bother because Black Panther's not even in it, and I thought, well, what's the point? And I know it's going to have loads of references to that. It's going to, like, as if someone's going to come in and go, well, of course I was going to join the party, and you go, all right, who are you? Oh, is that Namor? I didn't realise that was Namor. I haven't seen Namor be introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I don't feel that this particular what I like about the Spider-Man films, and why, those are the recent Marvel films I haven't watched. And the ones I have, I've sort of regretted. Eternals was boring. The Spider-Man one is sort of separate because it's a Sony entity. Yeah. He can sort of dip in and out of the MCU. And each Spider-Man films, they literally grab a character. So the first one had Iron Man. The second one was Nick Fury. The third one was, well, they went back to all the old... Oh, Daredevil. Daredevil had a little cameo in the third one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I was sort of hoping he'd be in this one, but I think it's a bit greedy. I also liked how this film didn't sort of follow the typical story arc.
I don't like how big a gap they've left between this film and the last film. Yeah. I think that's a bit... 4 years, and they've tried to...
It's 5 years now.
Oh yeah, 5 years. Well, that's what I'm saying. 4 or 5 years, I think that's a bit long, considering how popular a franchise Spider-Man is, and the way that they've then had to now change when Aunt May died. The tombstone's 2024, when it was 3 years earlier.
Yeah, but they also had the 5-year lapse.
Yeah.
They've jumped ahead of time in that sense, because when you had the blip, they changed their time about. This is why I always thought after Endgame, they should have said, we're not making another Marvel film for the next 5 years. Yeah. And people would have been clamouring for it. So when Doctor Strange came out, people would have been like, I love this film. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, it's a good film. But that's another one, Multiverse Madness. I was so excited about that. And I think there was aspects of it. I loved how he killed the Illuminati. But
they messed up because they released it at the same time as Everything Everywhere All at Once, because it did Multiverse so much better in that film.
Yeah, and also I think it's so embarrassing when you end a film on a so-called cliffhanger, like how that one ended, where he was Charlize Theron. I can't remember who she was playing, but she suddenly turns up and he's got this third eye appeared on his head, and she's like, we gotta go fight some people. He goes, I'm gonna join you. And you think, you're setting yourself up. Don't say, this is what's on next week's episode. I think a good film can end, maybe have like a little thing over post-credits and say, all right, okay, something else is in the works.
Doctor Strange will return, like, or something like that, like what they do with Spider-Man. They didn't really give a lot in the end credits scene, I thought. Sometimes end credit scenes have got like a little bit of like a comedy gag or whatever. It didn't have that really. It was just Ned's Spidey tracker. Some people are theorising that him being out in space doesn't mean that it's this Peter Parker being out in space. Some people think it's going to introduce multi-dimensional stuff again, and some people think it could be Miles Morales. Because where you've already seen the Prowler, he talks about his nephew down in Queens, so maybe it could be him. Some people theorising.
Yeah, see, I think they could have used, because the fact that they've introduced the Prowler, they could have done him at the opening montage as well. Like Spider-Man going toe-to-toe with him, because again, the Prowler, I'd stick as like a C tier. I think what would count as an A tier Spider-Man villain would be one that, no offence, but you'd know. You'd go, oh, I've heard of him. And also, they've got to be characters who, one, they're powerful.
Yeah.
Two, they're iconic. Three, they've done something that's affected Spider-Man's life drastically. You know, changed the whole course of his life, whether they've killed Aunt May or killed Gwen Stacy or something like that, you know, or they've possessed his body for over a year. If you know, you know. So, like, A tier, I'd say someone like a Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus, Venom. I mean, power-wise, you'd say maybe Doctor Doom, Juggernaut and Magneto, but you associate them more with Fantastic Four and X-Men. Yeah. And then you've got the next ones, which, like Hobgoblin, is a little bit derivative of Green Goblin, but I'd love to see him on camera, and I'd like to see him with, like, a proper sort of mask. Lizard, I'd love to see done properly. I weren't a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man one. I like Reese fans, but yeah, it weren't for me. But I'd consider a B tier or A tier. You know, he's great. Carnage, even though he's more deadly than Venom, I'd still consider him secondary to Venom. So Venom is the big villain. Yeah. Electro, Rhino, you know, Sandman, these are both powerful ones who are iconic. People recognise their face and you go, oh, I know who that is. And I was even testing you last night going, who's this? CT, you go to Vulture. What would you call him?
Oh.
Hulk. You called him Hulk.
No, and then what did I call the other bloke? Battle Cat.
Oh yeah, Craven, you called Battle Cat. But see, Vulture, Craven, Mysterio, Chameleon, Scorpion, who's obviously...
But, I mean, Mysterio in this film, in this franchise, has been made to be a major villain for Spider-Man because he's just ruined his life, basically.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's certain comic book characters who, if I was a filmmaker, I wouldn't touch because and very few, but there's some I'd go, I'm not going to put that person in my film because I don't think I could do as good a version as what's already exists. Yeah. So, for example, I always say Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. If I'd done a Batman film, I wouldn't stick Catwoman in it because I think her version of Catwoman's peak. I think that's top. You can't beat it. I don't like Anne Hathaway's one or Zoe Kravitz or definitely not Halle Berry's one. They're okay, but they're nothing compared to her one. And I'd actually put Mysterio in that category because he's portrayed almost better than he deserves to be in film. I love Mysterio's aesthetic. I think if there was a Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains, he could be on there purely because of how iconic he looks with a big fishbowl head. But he's almost, as I said, when he turns up in the comics or in episodes, he's a one and done character. He doesn't sort of plague his life. So I think mixture of Jake Gyllenhaal's performance and the fact that the story was so spot on, I thought he was really good as that. So I wouldn't touch him again. Chameleon, who's actually, I think, one of Spider-Man's first ever villains, there's almost no point to him now because he just basically, he's what you'd imagine, he disguises as different people, which is what who I thought was in this. So, you know, when he opens the tank and it's got the old woman, I thought, I wonder if that's Chameleon. Because Chameleon can change his appearance. So he's quickly changed into an old woman. And then as soon as it jumped bodies to someone else, I thought, well, that's not Chameleon. Chameleon doesn't do that. And it kept me guessing. Who now? No, it's it, because I do know Spider-Man. I mean, anyway, the D tier list, I mean, that's put Kingpin just about in C tier.
Yeah. But
basically, Tombstone, Hammerhead, Voltage, Boomerang, Ramrod, Tarantula, they'd all be like D tier characters to me. Nothing against them, but they're not ones who I say would have a major effect on his life or change it irreversibly. You know, and they're not as iconic as what people who watch this will go, well, you clearly don't know enough about Tombstone or Hammerhead or whatever. And you think, well, I do, but I can take a step back and go, yeah, but I accept that my brother would go, oh, that's Dr. Octopus. Don't know who that guy is. It's just one of those things, you know?
Yeah.
Don't take it personally. It's not you as a villain. But yeah, I liked sort of not knowing, thinking, okay, this is interesting, because who is this character? Is it like Will-o'-the-Wisp or someone? I mean, and when they revealed, when he took the picture, I thought, okay, it's a girl, because I thought it was a boy at first. I thought it was a bloke.
Yeah.
And because you don't actually know who it is. So when when Mary Jane kisses Peter Parker and then reveals that it's actually the person possessing them, I thought, oh, okay, bit fruity. You know, it's okay. Yeah, I'm not judging. But and then you see it was Sadie Sink in the car. I still didn't clock Jean Grey because I didn't know it was Sadie Sink. Even though I've seen Stranger Things, I didn't know it was her. I just thought, okay, it's a girl, okay. And then when they said Jean Grey, I was like, oh, okay, so Jean Grey's in this. And I was on board with it, because I love X-Men anyway, and I know they've got to reboot the X-Men, so I was on board with that. Going back to that scene, what did you think of that scene? Where he saves, like, he's racing Jean Grey to save Mary Jane, and you assume he's got to Mary Jane first, taking her to the roof.
I thought that was a really cruel scene. I mean, I just felt a bit like... But I do like how it's almost redeemed by the end, because a lot of people are speculating that Jean Grey has made both Ned and MJ remember who he is.
Yeah.
When
he does the handshake
he recognised the handshake and he says Peter, and like loads of people saying, "Oh, it's just because
she'd already mentioned Peter."
But loads of people going, "Well, no, because he has no reason to correlate a handshake with Spider-Man because he didn't do it with Spider-Man,
unless he'd done it off camera."
Yeah, but that's
because they were sitting playing Lego together.
Yeah, but you've got to kind of imagine thinking, okay, what's shown on screen is what's happened. You can't start speculating other stuff, and at the end, when you're showing MJ as well, she's got the necklace that Peter gave
the
him.
Black Dahlia.
Yeah, and so a lot of people going, well, maybe Jean Grey's made them remember, because also when they're in that force field and they're frozen, they're like MJ's crying as well. Yeah. So some people are thinking, oh, so maybe she's made them remember. I don't know.
I don't think she would have made them remember specifically that bit, because as powerful as Jean Grey is, and she's going to get more powerful than that because obviously she's the Phoenix, she... At that point, she'd only been able to jump bodies like, 30 feet or something like that?
Yeah, but then she's increased it.
She increased it, but if you're increasing it and to that level, she don't go, and while I'm at it, I'm going to make them two remember who Peter Parker is.
Yeah, but I think she doesn't. Bad.
I agree that she could possibly have made them remember, but I think it would have been after all of that, because at that point, she didn't like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know.
He captured her, and all this stuff was happening to her. Because even when he's like, "I'll come to try and rescue," she goes, "Oh yeah, well I've rescued myself." You melt. I agree. I think maybe she has made them remember. But going back to that scene, I really enjoyed how cool that scene was.
Yeah.
Because I felt it was really dramatic. I think even more so than say Aunt May dying. When Aunt May died, I thought, oh, that's sad. They've killed Aunt May. That's interesting, because she's got a lot of storylines in the comic books. There's a lot of things that happen with Aunt May in her life. Like, she hasn't married Doc Ock yet. The fact that they killed her off, and like obviously he's traumatized, he tries to kill Green Goblin. That's an interesting move for them to do. I thought it was quite good. I thought it was dramatic, but I was roped in, and I thought, oh, she's remembered. Oh no, because obviously it helps the fact that we know they're together in real life. They're married in real life. So when you see her kissing another guy at the party, you think it kind of been too hard for Tom to imagine getting peed off. Prick. Walking out the place, and you think, oh, he's won her back, and then she's hugging him, and I sort of see it coming the second before it sort of reveals. I thought, hold on a sec, is this the character? Because at that point we still didn't know it was Jean Grey. So if I'd known it was Jean Grey, I wouldn't have worried so much. I would have thought, because Jean Grey at heart is a good person, but the fact that I didn't know who this was, I didn't know how manipulative they were. Like some people were saying, it should have been the symbiote storyline, because where Venom does a similar thing to Spider-Man, he can change his appearance and he starts traumatizing his life, like playing about with his loved ones and stuff like that. It might have worked more obviously with the symbiote thing. But when this happened, and me, like Spider-Man, not knowing who the Venom was, I was thinking, oh, what a cruel sod, because he's giving him the ultimate hope, the thing he's been waiting for 4 years, you know, to reconcile with MJ. He thinks he's finally got it, and he's just going, yeah, that's it. Enjoy touching the person who you've missed so much. You think, oh, you bastard. I thought that was a really good scene. I think that's probably one of the best scenes in the film.
Yeah.
What do you think of Hulk?
I thought Hulk was good, isn't it?
Hulk smash. I thought Hulk smash. I liked his see, obviously Bruce Banner is incredibly intelligent individual. So he's trying to do this class, and everyone just wants to ask him things about Hulk, and he sort of laughs about it. He's sort of taking it stride, and you can see the joy in his face when he actually has a student, or he assumes a student at first, come up to him and start asking him intelligent questions. It's sort of like if you talk about film or you talk about something that you love with someone else who's on the same page, you can talk for hours. So I liked that, their chemistry together, Bruce Banner and Peter Parker. You can see they talk the same language. So I liked their relationship, and I loved the fact that they end up fighting. As I said, Spider-Man and Hulk have had some great fights in the comics. It's always difficult to put Punisher in like a PG film, because he kills people. You know, one of the things I like about him is the fact that so much of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the Marvel Universe in the comics, you're talking about these people who've got these great powers, and they're able to do these amazing things, destroy planets and all this stuff, all this amazing, run so fast and be so strong, and they all are wary of this human being. That's all he is a human being, because he has this thing where he goes, no, you've done wrong, bang, you're dead. You stole that cat, bang, you're dead. You know, I know it sounds extreme, but he will punish people. And also he does it violently. He does some extreme violence in the comics and in in the films. And oh, by the way, so this is now officially the 4th cinematic portrayal of Punisher. So we've had Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, Ray Stevenson, and now John Bernthal. I know he'd done the series, but this is the first time he's been on film. So I was pleased they've actually done that. So it's always tricky to stick him in it without watering him down and peeing off the fans of Punisher. Like, I'm a huge Punisher fan. There was 1 or 2 moments I thought, don't soften him too much, because it goes against what he is. Him and Spider-Man have conflicting ideologies on how to deal with things. Spider-Man's very much like, tie them up, arrest them for the police, and Punisher's like, kill them and they won't come back. This is why Punisher doesn't really have that many villains, because as soon as he gets a chance, he will kill them.
Yeah.
You know, there's very few Punisher villains get away. So I think it was good how they tiptoed around here. I don't think he'll be back for the next one, because it's going to be difficult to keep that up. You can just about get away with it in a film. And I like that he was trying to kill Jean Grey, because that's his MO, that's what he would do. But the thing that confused me, he's sitting in a hospital with Spider-Man. The police know he's there, and I could get on board with the police letting Spider-Man do what he does, because at the end of the day, all he's doing is catching the criminals for the police and leaving them there. He's making citizens' arrests. Punisher's murdering people left, right, and centre. So as long as that's happening in this universe, he shouldn't be able to sit in a hospital without getting nicked. Maybe he sneaked in or something like that. But there was a few things that I think, he's a wanted man. I know all this other intergalactic stuff's happening, but at the end of the day, the police would go, I've arrested the Punisher. Although there was like big swarms of the police like him. If you watch the Daredevil series, they sort of lean into it a bit more, where obviously he's a wanted man and whatever. What do you think that spider was? Did you notice that spider outside his door? There was a weird bit where early on he goes into that apartment.
I don't think it really matters. I think it's just
it's like a CGI spider.
It wasn't really a big thing for me. I didn't look at it and go, oh, well, this is really important.
So you didn't really notice it? No, I noticed it, and I was just thinking, I wonder if that's supposed to be the spider that bit him. And it's somehow, because I thought it would come back later, I thought, is it going to bite him again a second time?
Just take it as it is, because Marvel films aren't exactly complicated. It's not like...
It's just weird how it's sort of focused on the spider with its web outside his door. We know who he is. We don't need to show us the spider above the door. So I'm just curious as if it had more meaning or if it is something that would come back at a later date. I think this is Tom Holland's best portrayal of Spider-Man. I think his relationships, particularly with MJ and Ned, are probably the best, even though he doesn't know them. When they do interact, it feels quite warm and genuine, you know. Yeah. If it's missing that sort of comic relief, really, as the previous ones have had. They've had too much comic relief. This teacher's funny, that teacher's funny, Flash is funny, this one's fun. And J. Jonah Jameson, when they brought him into it, who, you know, I like J.K. Simmons, but it sort of felt like they didn't use him properly in the last one. J. Jonah Jameson is always best when he's not directly affecting the storyline. He's like a little bit of comic relief, like someone saying something. I think what would have been nice with him, because obviously they've gone down the route that he's internet news.
Yeah.
After him getting all that footage and first-hand experience with Spider-Man and all those villains in the previous film, if he then became more popular and he could have done like, it could have had a bit where he's doing a podcast like a Joe Rogan thing. So it could be like the J. Jonah experience and have him sitting on there interviewing someone who's, I don't know, it's someone who's not that important, but he's talking to him going, yeah, and Spider-Man sucks, doesn't he? And blah, 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 and you should inject yourself with meat serum and stuff. Weird, like a little, it'd be quite funny if then in between the takes, he's like, Parker! And Peter Parker's working behind the scene. Have you got us any more pictures and video? We want more stuff for Spider-Man. So it's like a modern version of the Daily Bugle, but it's sort of like a podcast thing. Or make him like an Andrew Tate type, really sort of like toxic person, you know?
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
Do you know what this got on IMDb?
No.
It got...
Well, so far, because IMDb scores, it's just released, so I imagine whatever this is, it's going to drop down half a star.
It's at 8.2.
8.2. So I reckon this will land about 7.6, maybe 7.7.
And on Tomato Meter, it's got 90%.
Wow, that's good.
And then on Popcorn Meter, it's got 98%.
That's really good. So yeah, so that shows it's that obviously the mega fans will go watch it straight away. And sometimes they will blindly give it, it's 10 out of 10, it's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Which I wouldn't give it 10 out of 10, but I'd still say this is probably my favourite Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'd say it is. As I said, the more I sit with it, the more I feel satisfied with it. And as I said, it's got 3 of my favourite Marvel characters of all time in one film.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was Spider-Man Brand New Day. On Friday, me and Ben are reviewing History of Violence.
Well.
You seen that film?
No.
Go watch the film so you know when you're listening to the podcast. You go, oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
okay. Please like, subscribe, share. If you've got any suggestions, email us at justthatfilm@gmail.com.
And yeah, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope this software isn't soft-boiled yet.